Hello everyone, this is Jay and welcome to my channel. This video is going to be the start of a new series I'm currently working on this channel alongside the main content I usually create, where I'm going to be documenting all of my creative work, showcase all of the things I'm currently working on in my creative life in order to not only give you a behind the scenes look as to how I operate, but hopefully give you new ideas and inspiration yourself if you too are creative. I work on a variety of creative projects from design, artwork, photography, writing and more. Today, we're going to start off this new series by looking at one of my favorite pieces of artwork that I've designed, the wolf emblem that acts as not just my YouTube channel's logo, but the logo for my entire brand of creative projects as a whole. I will be diving into the extensive history behind this design, how it was created, its inspirations, etc. So, with that out of the way, let's explore. So to start off this video, I wanted to discuss the history behind this emblem and its various iterations. The reason for this is because I'm hoping that by showcasing how my art skills have improved over the years, it might inspire other artists who are either starting out or might not be confident yet in their abilities. I came up with the idea for this emblem and designed it all the way back in the year 2016. I am a big fan of the Final Fantasy franchise, and I'm also a casual fan of The Witcher. The reason why those franchises are relevant to my design is because both franchises inspired my design, as each franchise had logos depicting wolf heads. In the movie Final Fantasy VII Advent Children, the protagonist Cloud Strife is associated with wolf imagery, in particular the wolf from Norse mythology named Fenrir. Cloud has an emblem based on Fenrir's likeness, which he wears as a large silvery badge displayed on his pauldron. 3 other characters also bear this same wolf emblem in the form of Rins: Tifa, Barret, and Denzel. I have one of these Rins in real life, and goddamn, look at this thing. This is probably my favorite Rin I own, it's so cool. Anyway, as for The Witcher, protagonist Geralt of Rivia wears a medallion depicting a wolf's head, which represents the Witcher school that he trained at. In the book series and the Netflix adaptation, Geralt's medallion is depicted as a flat design on a circular, coin-like surface, but in the video game adaptations, the design is much larger and more three-dimensional, presumably so that the player can still see the medallion from a distance. I remember really loving these designs. There was something about these wolf emblems from both franchises that strongly resonated with me, and I found myself somewhat identifying with them. So eventually, being the artistic person that I was, I eventually decided, you know what, I really want to design a cool as hell wolf emblem for myself. Why not? And thus, using both Cloud's wolf logo and the wolf medallion from the Witcher games as my main sources of inspiration, I created the very first iteration of my wolf emblem. This right here was how the wolf emblem originally looked before it eventually evolved into the highly detailed version that I use as my brand logo. Compared to the modern iteration of this design, you can tell that it was a lot more simplistic, less detailed, and there was certainly a long way to go before my art skills would eventually improve to the point where the design would look as good as it does now. But at the time, I was definitely happy with this. In a way, the simplistic design was also done on purpose because I created this with the intention of slowly, gradually improving it as my skills as an artist grew. At one point, I decided to add more color to this original design, eventually adding a golden trim along the shape of the wolf. I also replaced the circular backdrop with a shield because I felt like the shape matched the symmetry of the wolf's head a lot more. It was roughly around this time that I came up with a name for this wolf: Skull. Skull was a wolf from Norse mythology who was one of the sons of Fenrir, which I thought would be a fitting name considering my wolf emblem was partially inspired by Cloud's from Final Fantasy, which was named Fenrir. Nowadays, the emblem isn't named Skull in an official capacity. If you were to visit my website or my art shop, it's just simply known as the Revenant Wolf emblem, but in my heart, I still consider my wolf emblem's name to be Skull. Anyway, back on topic. The golden trim didn't last for too long, as that was eventually scrapped in favour of adding more detail to the wolf's head, making it look less flat and more dynamic by giving it a more fur-like appearance. Over time, I added more detail to the fur, as well as adding subtle changes to the emblem around the mouth area, before finally, the emblem just became way too over-designed. Now this was sort of like the awkward teen phase of this wolf emblem. It had gotten so over-designed, so heavily detailed that, in my opinion, it just looked kind of strange. At that point I decided, okay, yeah, I definitely have to dial things back and streamline the design a lot more too. First off, I redesigned the wolf's eyes, giving it an angrier, more intimidating appearance. Then I redesigned the cheekbone area too, like I said before, dial things back a bit and streamline the process so that they would no longer look so busy looking. This became the basis for the final version of this design that exists today. So I took what I came up with and gave it a bolder, stronger appearance. For a while, like around a year, I thought that this would be the final version of my wolf emblem. However, I wasn't entirely happy with it. I couldn't quite place my finger on why I wasn't entirely happy with this design until just a few days before I made this emblem public for the first time, when I realized that the reason why I wasn't entirely happy with it was because I felt like it didn't look refined enough. And also, I wanted the emblem to have a much smoother, more blended appearance. With that came the final iteration of my design. The emblem has now gone to the stage where I'm completely happy and satisfied with it, unable to think up of any other ways to possibly improve the design. It feels like from 2016 all the way through to 2023, this wolf emblem has grown and evolved along with me as a person. Therefore, I am extremely attached to this design due to my extensive, almost 7-year-long history with it. It is among one of the very few designs that I've created over the years that feels very much like a part of me, and that is why I use this design as the logo for not just myself, but my brand of creative projects as a whole. Now, back when I first created this design, I knew that I really wanted to use this for a special purpose, but at the time, I had no idea what. As time went on, I decided that it would be best to use this logo as sort of a calling card or signature of some sort, something recognizable that could go on to not only represent me, but also my creative work too. But all of that time, throughout all of those years holding on to that idea, I didn't use my emblem for such a purpose until now. Because I wanted to wait until I was ready to start putting all of my creative work out into the world first before making this emblem a part of my public identity. Fast forward to 2023 when I created Aurum Revenant, a personal brand that acts as the umbrella for which all of my creative work falls under. The purposes and reasons behind creating this brand is something that I'll have to get into in another video, but upon creating this brand, I felt as if the wolf emblem would be incredibly fitting. Specifically for Aurum Revenant, I created an alternative version of my wolf emblem, one that was in gold instead of grey. For anyone who might not be aware, aurum is the Latin word for gold, which was why I decided to make a golden version of my wolf emblem specifically for Aurum Revenant. I use both versions of this design interchangeably. Whereas the gold version represents Aurum Revenant and my creative work, I consider the grey version to be more representative of myself as an individual. Therefore, both versions represent both sides of my life, the creative and the personal. So anyway, that's all I had to share for today's video. I'm not sure how many people would actually be interested in watching a video like this, but I just simply felt like sharing a piece of my creative history with the world. And if you made it this far into the video, then I hope what you watched was entertaining or educating in some way. I will be making more videos like this in the future, diving into the histories behind all of my creative work, share what I'm currently working on, and just overall give you a behind the scenes look at my creative life. So if that interests you, or if any of the other work I create on this channel interests you, then feel free to subscribe, and I hope to see you again in the next video.